A rat steps out of its hole and does something no rat should ever do. It catches the scent of a cat, and instead of freezing, instead of running, it walks toward it, willingly, toward the one animal built to kill it. This rat isn't broken. Nothing about it looks sick. Something microscopic has crawled into its brain and deleted the one instinct keeping it alive. Scientists call it fatal attraction. And it is not an exaggeration. Because the organism that does this, the thing rewriting fear from the inside, may already be living in a human brain. It may be living in yours, not a lab animal. You or someone you know, right now, without either of you ever knowing it's there. It's called Toxoplasma Gondii, and it may be the most successful manipulator of behavior on Earth. A single cell, far too small to see, yet somehow able to reach into the emotional wiring of a mammal's brain and change what that animal does. Scientists first caught it in rats. A healthy rat fears cat scent its entire life, even one that's never seen a cat. It's hardwired, millions of years old. The smell of a predator means run. Infected rats didn't run. Some drifted toward the scent, calm, unafraid, as if the fear had simply been switched off. So how does something microscopic switch off an instinct millions of years in the making? To understand that, you have to follow where the parasite is trying to go. Toxoplasma can infect almost any warm-blooded animal alive, but it can only finish its life cycle, only reproduce, in one, the gut of a cat, and only a cat. Every other creature it enters, a rat, a bird, a human, is just a waiting room on the way to a cat. Inside those hosts, it slows down and hides, forming tiny dormant cysts, often in muscle and in the brain. And in most healthy people, those cysts never leave. They stay for the rest of your life, which raises the real question: what are they doing up there, sitting silently inside the brain? Researchers went looking in the fear center of the brain, a region called the amygdala. In infected rodents, the genes tied to fear and anxiety had been chemically rewritten. The tiny chemical switches that dial fear up or down had been flipped to turn fear down. At the same time, the parasite appears to tamper with dopamine, the chemistry of reward and motivation. So it may be doing two things at once, turning fear down, turning reward up. And that exact combination, less fear, more reward, is the chemistry of walking straight toward danger. A rat that no longer fears cats is a rat that gets eaten by one. And getting eaten isn't the failure. For this parasite, it's the entire point, because the only place it can reproduce is inside a cat. The rat's brain was never the destination. The cat's gut was, which makes this one of the clearest cases in all of nature. A parasite steering a mind toward its own death, just to complete itself. But rats aren't the only ones carrying it. So where do we come into this? People pick it up in three main ways. Undercooked or contaminated meat, the most common. Unwashed produce or soil carrying the parasite's eggs, and contact with the feces of an infected cat. Once it's in, your immune system usually wrestles it quiet within days. But it doesn't leave. And here's the number that stops people cold. Between a third and half of every human on Earth is carrying Toxoplasma Gondii right now. Read that again. Up to half of everyone alive. For almost all of them, it causes nothing they'd ever notice. A silent passenger. But for a vulnerable few, that passenger turns dangerous. A first infection in pregnancy or a failing immune system can wake the sleeping cysts. In those rare cases, it can inflame the brain itself. For most of us, a quiet tenant. For a few, a real emergency. And Toxoplasma isn't alone. Nature is full of parasites that hijack a body to finish their own life cycle, and some are far more brutal. A fungus infects an ant and seizes control of its nervous system, forcing it to climb high and clamp down, before bursting from its head to rain spores on the colony below. A hairworm grows inside a cricket and drives it to leap into water and drown, so the worm can pour out into the water it needs to breed. Next to those, Toxoplasma is quiet. It never has to kill its host directly. It only has to tip the odds, one small nudge toward the predator. And it may be the most widespread puppeteer of them all, which drags us back to the uncomfortable question about ourselves. For years, scientists have asked whether it nudges human behavior the way it nudges a rat's. The most studied thread leads to schizophrenia. 2 major reviews found people with schizophrenia were roughly 2.5 times more likely to carry the parasite. Others have tied it to more traffic accidents, to impulsive choices, even to shifts in mood. And one strange twist, people with multiple sclerosis seem less likely to carry it than everyone else. But here's the trap, and it matters. A link is not a cause. The arrow could run the other way entirely. Certain brains may simply be more prone to infection in the first place, and the most careful studies find far less than the headlines promise. The honest answer is that we still don't know how deeply this thing reaches into the human mind, if at all, and that not knowing may be the most unsettling part of the whole story. Because forget, for a moment, whether it changes us. What we already know is stranger than fiction. A single-celled organism has evolved to home in on the fear center of a mammal's brain, rewrite the chemistry of fear and reward from the inside, and steer its host calmly toward the one thing most likely to kill it. And it may be doing some of that inside a vast share of the human race, with no symptom, no sign, no way to feel it. It forces a question most of us would rather not ask. How much of what we call instinct, fear, caution, desire, is actually ours? If something this small can quietly edit fear in a rat, how sure can any of us be about where our own impulses come from? Toxoplasma doesn't have to be a villain for its story to be extraordinary. It only has to survive. And by that measure, almost nothing on Earth does it better. If this changed the way you see the things you can't see, subscribe to the Body Electric. There's a hidden machine inside you, and we're only getting started. And tell me in the comments, will you ever look at a cat the same way again?